We all have a story. This is my story. My name is Huiet. I'm 41 years old. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I graduated with a degree in physical education from Bowling Green State University. I'm a fun-loving guy, easygoing, love spending time with my family and friends. I'm also gay. For part of my life, I struggled with being gay. Not because I was ashamed or because I was not okay with being different. Quite the opposite, in fact. I've always loved being different. But I had one major goal and dream, and that was to be a father. I didn't think as a gay male I could be a father. Trying to come to grips with my sexuality and thinking because I was true to myself, I might not be able to be a father was scary. And then I fell in love with volleyball. Early on in my career, I didn't think I could be a Division I head coach because I was gay. I had seen friends, colleagues being denied jobs that they were qualified for because they were openly gay. Again, that was scary. To think, at one point in my life, I struggled with being true to myself because I didn't think I could be the two things I wanted most, a father and a Division I head volleyball coach. Well, I stand here today on this red dot as the head volleyball coach at Texas State University to tell you the story of my son and our journey together. Declan just turned 5. He is awesome. He loves dinosaurs and superheroes. He loves wearing costumes. He tries to get me to laugh all the time. He has a smile that lights up a room. He honestly is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. We have an open adoption, which means Declan knows his mom. He talks with his brothers. He will always know his adoption story and how I became his dad. I was at the hospital when Declan was born. After all the legal papers were signed, in 3 days, we left that hospital after 3 days to start our journey together. And although Declan and I don't look alike because he is black and I am white, we are very much the same. In reality, I think we're all a little more alike than we want to admit, or maybe afraid to admit. I want people who view themselves or are labeled different to be more comfortable in their own skin. I want people who are different to feel like they have a place in society. I want a brighter future for my son. I want to tell you some things that have helped me, a white man raising a black son. Early on when I was coming out, my boyfriend said to me, "Sean, you have to tell people exactly how you have felt because they aren't gay. They aren't going to understand. They can't understand." I think about that a lot because the same goes with me to Declan. I'm not black. I don't know what it's like to be a black man, but I have to raise him to be a strong black man and be proud of who he is. I'm not standing up here to push a political agenda or to agree to disagree. I'm up here as a white man raising a black son, desperately trying to change the narrative for him. I've reached out to black friends and colleagues. I've had hard conversations. I've listened. I've been vulnerable. It's very apparent that racism is still going on in our society today. Now, I'm a coach, I know. And so for me to tell you that I have been coachable sounds like a gimmick, but just hear me out. A Forbes article I read says this about being coachable. A person who is coachable asks for and responds to feedback. They value input from others. They are willing to take personal changes, make personal changes, take action. What if we could all be coachable about racism? What if you could take input from others? Take action. I myself, I was raised in a loving home. I had Black friends. I had Black teammates. I was raised to treat everyone equal. I thought the way I treated Black people, it was okay because that's how I treated them. I never acknowledged my privilege. But talking with friends and seeing and hearing some of their day-to-day struggles because of the color of their skin, that's not the case. Brené Brown says this: in order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it, not how you imagine it being. That's so powerful and so true. Early on, that's what I struggled with, being able to separate how I treated Black people and that not meaning other people didn't treat them different. Hard conversations, that was the start. Hearing your friends tell you about being called the N-word, how they had to react different in situations because of the color of their skin. My friend's mom told me the neighbors reported her sons for playing with Nerf guns in the front yard. It was eye-opening. Now, also, being coachable doesn't mean you don't have an opinion. It doesn't mean you have to change your beliefs. But it does require you to be vulnerable, to challenge some of those beliefs. I do think we can raise awareness about racism without breaking down and criticizing others' views and opinions. But my white friends, when we have these conversations, you have to be vulnerable. You have to not feel personally attacked. You have to acknowledge that the color of your skin allows you to live just a little more free than, say, my son. I want to tell you some stories that have happened with Declan and I, and even at the time, I didn't maybe think much of it. It's just things that show me that there's so much work to do, that sometimes people can just perceive and say things. Early on, I was a single dad, and Declan traveled everywhere with me. We would get the stares, and at times the stares felt maybe they were just seeing our stories, but at times the stares felt more. Why does this white man have this Black baby? Do you know, on more than one occasion, I had to show proof of adoption. I had to prove that my son was my son. I think of the times I took my nieces and nephews, my white friends' kids out and about. I never had to show proof that they belonged to me. We were at the store one time, and the lady looks at Declan and looks at me and says, "He's so cute. You must be babysitting." I said, No, this is my son." Like word vomit, she spit out, "You can't be his dad." It was 2018, and this woman just told me I couldn't be his dad. Now, she quickly realized what she said, and she apologized, but it just raised my awareness. More recently, We were going to the grocery store, and Declan was being a little rambunctious, if you will, so I let him out of the cart and let him walk by me. As we were walking down the aisle, a worker stopped us and said, "Oh, I think that little boy ran away from his family. They're in the aisle, the next aisle." I said, "Oh no, that's my son, but thank you so much for your concern," because I do appreciate the concern and safety. But when I got to that next aisle and I saw the family he thought Declan belonged with, it was a black woman with 3 kids who were being rambunctious. Why did he think Declan belonged to them? Was it because he was black? Was it because he was being rambunctious? Was it because I was white? I know this. I know these things happen to me to help me open my eyes to be a better father for my son. They've helped me just see a fraction of what my black friends and family have gone through. These moments, these things have made me be coachable about racism, and my awareness has led me to take action. When we get up in the morning, Declan climbs up on his stool, we get ready to brush our teeth, we look in the mirror, and he says, "I am a strong black man." I want him to be proud of who he is. I want him to be proud of the color of his skin. When we get to school, before he gets out of the car, I lean in, I give him a kiss, and I say, "Be the nice kid." Trying to instill in him at an early age to include everyone, treat everyone nice and fairly, treat everyone equal. That's our morning routine, and it's pretty easy. It's easy to have those conversations. Now, let's talk about the conversations that I'm not looking forward to. The nights that I struggle sleeping because I have to have a conversation with my son about things my parents didn't have to talk to me about because the color of his skin. The harsh reality that even though I am raising him to be the nice kid and treat everyone equal, he might be treated differently because he's black. How do you even have a conversation with your son and tell him he has to react differently than his friends do in situations because he doesn't look like them? These nights, these thoughts, that's what drives me. That's what drives me to be coachable about racism, to be vulnerable, to listen, to take action. I do believe me being a white male, raising a black son, it has been a lot easier for me to acknowledge my privilege because I think of these conversations that we're going to have. And I think of conversations that my parents have said to me that I'll remember, that I'll pass down to Declan. You know, the puberty talk or wearing deodorant every day, even the dreaded sex talk. But having to talk to my son about the color of his skin, that's new to me. That's something I've had to learn and prepare for. We need to amplify treating everyone equally. We need to amplify everyone loving their story. We all have a story. I wouldn't change mine for anything. Coming out late, adopting a son late, getting my dream job late. Why? Because it's my story and I'm proud of it. Now, my job is to help Declan write his story. And I want him to be proud of his story. I think his story, it can be one that breaks down barriers and helps create the change we want to see. This boy, he is so special. When we talk about changing the world together, he always asks me, "Dad, who is going to help us?" That's where you come in. Can you be vulnerable? Can you take action? Can you help Declan change the world?